TUFF SHIFT. Hello, world, and welcome back to another episode of TUFF SHIFT, the podcast where we unpack all that goes into surviving the job and living the dream. I am your host, Patrick Murtagh, and let me tell you, baby, that little tagline that I put about surviving the job and living the dream, we are feeling it this week. This podcast, I think I've mentioned before that I don't know if I'm like manifesting content for this, or it's just kind of like, this is what happens when you work in restaurants and you need to just breathe, and this would happen regardless of you having a podcast about how awful, it's sometimes rewarding, but how awful it can be to work in this industry while pursuing your art, your career, and all those exciting things. So we're definitely going to unpack this pre-shift. We're gonna unpack that and what this week has been like. But before we go there, and I apologize if you're watching this and I look like a sweaty Betty, it is a scorcher today in Los Angeles, and you can't have air on when you're recording because that would sound awful. So if I'm sweating, it is that I have my pink Powerade here next to me, so that way I don't pass out in the middle of this episode. Yeah, that's it. So before we get started with pre-shift, I need to once again give a huge shout out to, a dream listener. This is what a podcaster, anybody who is building an audience, this is the audience member that you could only wish for, just the best. I am, of course, talking about @hysterical_Bertha. His name is Matt, but I like, give him a shout out and putting his handle out there so you can follow his content. But as I mentioned before, what makes him a dream listener to this podcast is that it's not just that he tunes in every week religiously. It's the fact that he engages online. He shares. He stirs the pot. He comments as he listens, and it's rewarding, and it helps me know that I'm doing something that resonates. And if it's only with one person, but I have the numbers, it's not with one person, but the level at which he engages and gives back to the show. We all know if you've ever performed in an audience, your performance is only as good as what the audience is giving back to you. And so I just want to say thank you for playing a little game with me this morning as I was recovering from a tough shift last night. He, of course, tags me in a post, a story on Instagram of a very familiar wall and a ceiling with a little plant railing and a new light fixture, a light fixture that I have not seen before, but I know that wall, I know that ceiling, and I know that plant railing. And he tags me and says, "Hey, Shawnee boy, do you know where I'm at?" Baby. I spent 3 years in that restaurant. I could spot it with my eyes closed. That is, of course, the wonderful, I'm going to just say the name because I've already mentioned, you already know when I am saying the place I worked in Chelsea, that it's Cookshop. It's Cookshop because for all the good, bad, ugly, and indifferent times I've had there, I emphatically stand by them and what they do and the experience, especially reflecting upon it with years out, because it's been at least 10 years since I worked there. But I still have so much love in my heart. And so I responded. I was like, exactly that. I could tell you what that place was with my eyes closed. And he commented back like, as made famous on Tough Shift podcast. So I'm glad. I really like the idea that the stories that I share here have kind of turned into this like New York scavenger hunt for Matt. And if any of you listeners are going to New York, are in New York, and you hear a story like, I need to figure out what that place is, please do go visit Cookshop, go visit places that I talk about and tag us in it and share your experience. And, as I always say, tell them Large Marge sent you. But for the next stop on this New York City scavenger hunt through my restaurant career, I want you to go up to French Roast. That is where I worked before and through the pandemic with my dear friend and guest number 9, 8, 7, 11. I don't know. Sam Belanger, who is our most streamed episode. Yeah, people love them some Sam, and they love French roast. So I want you to go up to French roast and get a table if you want to. But if you're comfortable at sitting at the bar, go sit at the bar. Go sit at the bar in French roast, and Juan will be there. Usually it's Juan. Sometimes it's George. But go up to Juan. Sometimes he looks a little angry, but he's hilarious. He is one of my favorite co-workers in that we fought a lot. We pushed each other's buttons, we teased each other, we laughed, we made fun of people, we made fun of each other. I love that guy. And not only is he hilarious, but he can make a drink. He could. I mean, he always told me, he's like, "You don't know how to bartend. You don't know how to do this, da 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 da." And I was like, "Go to hell, Juan. You don't know how to smile." But he literally, like, one time he made an arugula and black pepper gimlet, and let me tell you, that is still to this day one of the most beautiful drinks I have ever seen and tasted. So I want you to go find Juan at French Roast, and when you get up there, tell him not that Large Marge sent you, but that Bichacho. That's who I am to him. If you say Bichacho sent me, that's bitch and muchacho put together, Bichacho. He will take care of you. And I hope you take care of him. Take care of him. Tip the crap out of him. And all the people that serve you. But the funny thing was about Matt texting me from Cookshop I was like, oh, what are you going to get? The food is delicious. You should, what's on the menu, because it's always changing. And after 10 years, I assume there'd be new things on the menu. And so we're talking about the menu, and I'm like, oh my God, please enjoy. And then I pick up my phone 10 minutes later, and he's texted me this entire scene that played out in the restaurant. He's like, wow, the drama, this lives up to the drama here. Apparently, he witnessed this family get into a little tiff while sitting down for lunch. And the father stood up and took the child out of the restaurant, and they just plunked themselves down at a different table on the patio. Then without asking anyone, the father then gets up and finds a busser and tells him what's going on. They're going to be sitting, not asking, literally telling this person what goes on, and they're continuing to have this fight across the restaurant. I don't know the level of the fight, so I'm not sharing something tragic and traumatic for this family, but just and they came out to run the food, and the wife waved them away and sent them outside, and da 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 da. And just it was just so much drama that is exactly kind of the stories that you talk about having survived. And I just said, that sounds so familiar. That sounds just about right. Because stuff like that did happen at Cookshop when it was slow. Obviously, you can't do that when it's busy, which it is busy a lot. But it really speaks, I think, volumes to the level of hospitality, the level of service that Cookshop provides. You all know how I feel about extreme hospitality and bending over. It's not always it. And I definitely had my issues working there with some of the expectations and the hoops we had jumped through. But overall, I grew a lot as a server and even as a person, and really just kind of realizing the hospitality that already is natural within me. It's amazing. But the fact, I think that this fight and the way that they just kind of they took over the restaurant to air their grievances and to problem solve and this and that as if it was their home, is because Cookshop feels like home to so many people in that neighborhood. And for many people, it is their kitchen. We are their pantry. We are their dining room. And that's just wonderful to create that sense of community. But as I've said multiple times here on this podcast, restaurants, like life, are a shared experience. So I'm glad you feel like it's your home, but I just want you to know that it's not. It's my home. It's my manager's home. It's the chef's home. We work here. And if you look around, there are other people in the restaurant. So it's a shared experience. So, save that shit for home. And if you are having a fight and you need to put all your dirty laundry out for the public to see, because that's what, floats your boat, just, be a little more respectful around it, and maybe not tell the busser how it's going to go, and dismiss, because you're fighting with your husband. You're not fighting with a runner. You're not fighting with your server. You're not fighting with a manager. You want to fight with someone? Come find me, okay? You behave better. But there just to add balance to that story, not every shift can be a tough shift, and there were so many experiences of working in cookshop where being someone's kitchen, being someone's pantry was such a beautiful and lovely experience. Like, we saw kids grow up. We saw families celebrate retirement, celebrate birthdays, come together to grieve. We experienced so much, and we were so connected with so many of our wonderful regulars. Ron and Petra will always be my favorite customers, no matter where I'm working. They are just part of that institution for me. I have had in that restaurant some of the best experiences, some of the worst. I've dealt with some of the best regulars, and I've experienced some of the worst. Like that one that we just happened to name Mario because it happens to be his name, and that when he walks into a restaurant, the energy goes down, and everyone is hoping that he doesn't get sat in their section. But there are wonderful people that come in there too, like Ron and Petra. Sandra Bernhard is a regular in that restaurant, and we really are her pantry. Like, she'd be like, "Hey, I'm gonna make some sandwiches later. Can you go get me some more of that bread from Grand Daisy?" And it's like, "Yes, of course, of course." I mean, there's like Ristides right there, but you got it. Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, when they were living in the neighborhood, they came in a lot, and they were absolutely wonderful. And one time, his parents came in, and I just had to like gush at them and be like, "You did such a good job raising your son. Do you know how much everyone in this restaurant loves your son?" And they couldn't. I didn't have to say anything. I don't know what. I was just waiting on them. They didn't need to hear me tell them what amazing parents there are, but I'm glad I did, because it reassured them, I guess, in some way, that they did do a good job. And I always say bad news travels fast. So I like to make sure to go out of my way to get that good news to the people that need to hear it. And then this one always makes me laugh. Because he used to come in for breakfast a lot, and that is the one and only Ethan Hawke. He is still a gorgeous, gorgeous man, but dear Lord, is he intense. He can be a little intense sometimes, and like literally, it was always like ordering coffee. It was always ordering coffee with him. It's like, you want a latte, please just tell me you want a latte. But he'd be like, "Yo, you guys got coffee? Yeah, you got that Brooklyn Roasters? Okay, da 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 da." And it'd go over, and he's like, "And what kind of milk do you have? Okay, okay. But do you have an espresso machine?" And it just like literally goes through the order in the way that I talk about my brother, the way he orders a Moscow Mule, and it is just like absolutely horrific. Like, just order the Moscow Mule. Please don't call out the ingredients to see if we have them when you know we have them. And the thing about that was like, it was so intense that it was almost like a monologue, like Ethan Hawke ordering a latte. Like I could do a reel about it on Instagram, but I don't want to make fun of him any more than I'm doing now, because he was always very lovely to us. But it did feel a little bit like inside the actor's studio, like as if I was James Lipton asking him, "What kind of coffee would you like?" And him giving me this just overly thought out actory thing. So, but it's something that, that was so long ago, and it still makes me laugh to this day. So there are wonderful things about Cookshop. Thank you, Hysterical Bertha, Matt, for bringing that up to me this morning, and just like flooding my brain with like good memories and cringy memories, but like really that kind of just changed. Like, you didn't know I was recording today, and I'm just so glad I could unpack a little bit of that with y'all. So again, thank you for listening. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for engaging. And if you're listening and you want to shout out, hey, just comment on this video, comment on this episode, share this episode, become part of our community. It's free. I know a lot of podcasts have paywalls. I will someday, but not now. So get in while it's cheap. And that's my story on that. I do need to share, like I said in the pre-shift, the art of surviving the job and living the dream. This week has been, these past few weeks have been very intense. The place that I am at right now is a Goliath of a bar. It is just such a Herculean task, just setting up and breaking down and just nonstop tickets coming through and running through these drinks that have more components than flavor. That they're good drinks, but I still think they're overthought. Um, Everything is in different spots. And to make one drink, I need to go on this side of the bar to grab this, and it's just not well thought out geographically, logistically, all of that. Great drinks, bad execution. And it's physically exhausting. Like I squat every day, like more than I did when I paid for that fancy gym cult I was a part of. Like, and I think I'm fucking Beyonce. Like I'm at the low boy and I'm just like, ooh, I need to get more syrup. And I like squat down. I'm like, look at me, boys. I still got it. And I get up without any assistance. And then the next morning I need assistance to get up. So it's physically exhausting. And when you are physically exhausted, that's when you kind of get like a little depressed, when like negative speech starts happening. And I almost skipped an audition this week because my body and brain and soul and heart was just so physically exhausted that I started telling myself, like, you shouldn't be going to this audition. You can't. I mean, if they wanted you, you would have gotten an appointment. This is an EPA. This is you going out of your way when they could have easily. You could have gotten an appointment through your agents, and the fact that one of my agents is the casting director because she does a little bit of both. I just started being like, if she wanted me there, she would have asked me to be there. She knows how to get to me. She knows how to book me out for stuff. And so it's just like, not realizing that a lot of theaters, especially having lost all their grants, have had to slim down. And so a lot of them are just, yeah, they're still doing appointments, but it's limited. And my agents are very big on, if you don't get an appointment, you go to that EPA, you go to that ECC, you submit on Actors Access, you go. We will do the best to get you an appointment, but you need to go. But I didn't hear that voice. I just heard that if they wanted me, they would have asked me. It's a monologue audition. I'm awful at monologue auditions. My agent's there. I'm going to look like an ass. I'm exhausted. I'm going to look like an asshole in front of her. And then, the director, like the monologue I'm doing is a show that this director had directed just last year. So there's no way he's going to enjoy me doing it. Like just this horrific, like, shitty self-talk. And so it was right before the night before the audition. I'm like, I'm just not going to go. I'm going to cancel my appointment. And so I reached out to my friend Marty, guest number 2 on this show, episode 3. Um, and I would like, just to get her permission, like, yeah, I'm going to tell her, like, I'm tired. I'm awful at monologues, blah, 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 blah. And she responds, yeah, no, you need to go. Just the sense I'm getting is that this is an uncomfortable that you need to push through. And I was like, son of a fucking bitch. That's not the job. You're supposed to tell me to pour myself a drink and put my feet up. And so since I didn't get the answer I wanted from her, I reached out to another friend of mine who actually is one of my clients out here as well. And I had just gotten home from working with her that day. And she's got a career of her own. She's done it all. She's originated roles. She's been on TV. She's done everything. And so I reach out to her and be like, is it okay that I don't go to this audition? And the same stuff I said to Marty, the same stuff I said to myself. And she just said, I need you to stop it. I need you to stop right now. And she not only talked me down from off that ledge, she made me say truths. And then for the next 20 minutes, she coached me on that monologue. And she's like, so you will be going to that audition. You will be doing that monologue. You are ready to be seen. And so the next morning I get up just dreading. And I get there and I'm surrounded by, like, difference between like a musical theater audition versus like a straight play audition is it's just like a different form of intensity. So you have like musical theater actors, like, being musical theater actors in the way that they are and can be a bit extra. And then you have like these straight play actors who are like actors and always need to talk about, and this last monologue and this da 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 da, which is like, I should probably stop judging them and like start taking notes, because they have a book full of monologues that they pull from at the drop of the dime. And so it's just like this intensity. I'm like, well, they're all clearly better actors than me, but I said I'd go to this audition. I'm already in line. I drove an hour to get here. And I go into the audition and they're fucking laughing. The director who directed the show that I had a monologue from is laughing throughout my entire monologue. And then when I finish, goes, man, it is never not funny. And I walked out of there 10 feet tall. I couldn't believe I almost missed this opportunity to prove I can do it. I spent 48 hours tell myself I couldn't do it. And I almost cheated myself out of that opportunity. And it really made me think, what am I doing this for? I'm working this shit job. I am slinging drinks. I am catering. I am doing bookkeeping on the side. I'm doing all these jobs so that way I can have moments like this. And I almost pass it up because this job is killing me. Baby, baby, no. Baby, no. If it's not supporting the dream, it's not good. So I need to find a way. And I'm working on that to make sure that because if I'm not doing it for this, if I'm not pursuing acting, if I'm not pursuing singing, why am I not home with my family in San Francisco, with my fiance's family in San Francisco? We're here for a reason. We're making something happen. So I hope if you're listening and you needed to hear it, you heard that and you heard it good. If not, rewind it and hear it again. Remember why you're doing this and don't give up. Do what you need to do to protect the dream, to protect your artist heart. All right. I'm getting off my soapbox because, again, I keep thinking these are going to be quick pre shifts, and I have one of the most amazing guests in the world. I am so happy to have him here. I reached out a few months back, and he was like, "Hey, I have a show coming up this summer, so can we like wait?" And I'm just like, "But I want you now." But I'm so happy that he was still interested, and that wasn't just a line to like, get me away, because he is, and I am not being hyperbolic about this at all. He is one of my favorite voices in New York City. He has a tenor voice that just does not quit. It is strong and powerful. It is tender and soft and romantic and just ooey gooey. You get the tingles when you hear him sing, and it's endless. He sings for days. It literally, like in the song, "Sing Happy." I think it's from Flora, which is usually it's a Liza song, right? Everyone knows Liza. To me, it's him. That song is his, and that really pisses me off because I want to sing that song, but I can't do it now. That's his song, and he's so amazing at it. He is someone who has just accomplished so much in his time in New York City. He has appeared on stages all over New York City, in Fire Island, across the country, in musicals and cabarets and concerts. And one of those places that he's stepped foot on to sing is Carnegie Hall. Now, you all know the old saying, how do you get to Carnegie Hall? You sound like this fucking guy, because his voice is beautiful. He is a Bistro Award winner for his shows, and has the most clever titles for his shows. Lady with a Song, Unusually Grand Ideas, Two Drink Minimum, and his newest show that will be playing on Fire Island Thursday, July 24th, Cabaret. He is just his voice is as beautiful as he is inside and out. He is just phenomenal, and I can't wait to unpack so much with him. Please welcome to the stage the most beautiful, the most entertaining, the most talented Jack Bartholet.
Oh my
Hello.
gosh. Wow,
Did I
that was
say your last
quite
name
an
right?
intro. You did say it correctly. That was such a nice introduction. Thank you so much.
Of course. I mean, it's true. So it is easy to say true things. And I am just so happy to have you here to unpack all of this with you. How are you doing?
I'm so happy to be here. I'm doing very well, thank you. I'm in Cape Cod. I drove from New York City last night, and I'm about to take some paid time off and enjoy a little bit of vacation in Provincetown before heading back to Fire Island to do this show. So I'm in a pretty good mood.
That is absolutely wonderful. So you're heading to P Town. Are you going to be singing, promoting, thinking that if there's any like gay destination hoppers there to where they're going to be at P Town this week and then
Yeah.
next week they'll be in Fire Island?
Yeah, I'll have some postcards in my pocket. And my friend Ryan Landry runs Showgirls, and he has for 30 years. I saw him recently at Amber Martin's Bette Midler show at the Carlisle, and he was like, "You got to do Showgirls." And I'm like, "Well, I don't have anything to promote in P-Town. I'm not performing a show there." And he's like, "You still got to do Showgirls." Um, so will I do Showgirls? Maybe, but at the end, I will have a postcard in my pocket to hand to any, to hand to anyone at any moment.
That's wonderful. And even if you don't have anything to promote, please do not rob the people of P-Town of hearing that gorgeous dulcet tenor of yours. So yeah, let's dive right in to our first infamous question. What was your gateway job into becoming this walking, talking, singing stereotype of an artist surviving for your dream in hospitality?
I think we start right after college at a restaurant called Halstead's Bar and Grill, which was the only time I was like really boots on the ground as a serving waiter, slinging drinks and serving meals and a huge sort of beer garden patio full of Boys Town gays. Um, and the same owners opened a joint across the street called Elixir, which is still there. Um, I think both of them are still there. So it's Chicago days before New York, but then arriving in New York, my first serving job was, oh my God, it was so short lived. I think I worked, I swear, a total of like 5 shifts, but it was at Uncle Charlie's,
Oh,
this sort of cabaret cocktail bar on the in Midtown East, which connected me to some great musicians such as William T. N. Hall and Yaz Fukuoka, who I ended up doing shows with. But I was so sort of like disinterested in um, the service there and like how much money I could walk away with that was short lived. So then I sort of like dove right into the cater waiter world. Um, and I did that for a number of years. And then I took a long break. And then, just like cater waitering and hospitality is wont to do, it was waiting for me when I needed to jump back into it. Um, and yeah, I dove in a few years ago until I landed the job that I'm in right now, which allows me a nice bit of balance to perform the gigs that I have on my calendar and also have health insurance, etc.
and paid vacation.
A little bit of PTO, yeah, 12
Yeah.
days a year.
Because
Yeah.
like technically, I know in New York and California usually do the same thing, where it's like now it is like state law to where you do accrue vacation time, you do accrue PTO working in food service, but it's like not the same because it's like at your hourly base, and it's like try getting time off in a restaurant. Try getting
Mm,
those days and those shifts approved. And so if you think that waiters are getting tipped too much and you're one of those people that gets into that tipping argument that I love to pick apart so much, just remember that the income we get also funds our times when we get injured, also funds our times when we go see family, also funds vacations, which we deserve. Everyone deserves, right? So I'm so glad that you got this PTO. And yeah, you mentioned about hospitality always being there for you. I have at Cookshop, appropriately enough, my manager, who I've mentioned here a few times, Anna Marie, my tough as nails Irish manager, she used to say, that she's not above it, and she probably will find herself back waiting tables. I'm like, I mean, you're the director of operations for like a successful restaurant chain in New York City, but the fact that she's mentally aware that like who knows what tomorrow brings, and that's the beauty of hospitality is that you can come back at any time once you've done it. It's very much like Narnia. I just want to call out because we're having like a little technical stuff. So your video froze as you were nodding, and for the past like 30 seconds, it looked like you were rolling your eyes at me, which maybe you were, but it's hilarious. So I love technology. And on to the next question, which can be a bit triggering. Is there a tough shift that stays with you to this day that stands out among the rest as one that you are glad it's over and you never have to go back to that day again?
yes, of course. um, yeah, it was. You know, it's funny. So yeah. So I never had really had like super restaurant jobs in New York. You know, I got out of Uncle Charlie's, and then, like I said, dove right into catering. But once you start catering in New York City, you become aware of the other catering companies, right? You're talking to your crew, and you're sort of like eating staff meal, and you're like, "You work with any other companies?" And then they're like, "Yeah, this one and this one," and then you start cobbling together like. Yeah, I think there was one time when I was like working with about four different catering companies. Like whoever would put the gigs on the calendar and put money in my pocket, I was showing up. Um, but there was, and I forget, I can't exactly recall. No, never mind. I think I do remember. Then I was like with a staffing company for a while. Um, but I did this one catering shift in Brooklyn, and I lived in Brooklyn at the time, but it was a sort of North Brooklyn difference of being in a like a hugely different neighborhood that required, like one too many trains or buses or whatever. And it was trains and buses, certainly not a cab, because I remember having about no money in my bank account. I remember the shift being incredibly long. I remember being super in love with this guy I was dating. And I had just maybe taken a trip with him somewhere.
Hmm.
Um, and then going back into the sort of like hellishly long catering shift. But I just remember getting a text message from my roommate at the time, who was sort of always cagey about our landlord details, and he was the only one on the lease, and I could never like totally see into the picture he was painting.
Hmm.
But it was like mid shift, he was like, "Rose says we have to be out of the apartment, you know, X date." And I was just like, "Oh God!" And I just remember, um, at the time, I was not a medicated person. Um, And I just remember having like a proper panic attack, like heart like beating out of my chest, and really struggling to put on a smile and ask people if they wanted a canapé. And then like every time going back of house, just like sort of not being able to catch my breath. As my whole life in New York was just flashing before me, like where am I going to live, and what's the next job, and will I be able to audition for this thing, and just the panic of not being able to calm it down. Uh, and just like, sometimes catering was a hoot and a holler, but oftentimes it was just like miserable and sort of smelly.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's I think the tough shift that I mean, I guess there's another one when I say I dove back into catering when it was waiting for me. There was one, I think it was either like Chanel or Tiffany, but it was like out in Long Island, and I was like really really exhausted, and I had a premonition that they were going to put me on champagne service, which was like two
Hmm.
trays in each hand, for guests to walk in on. And I like definitely got a little bit of the like weebly wobbly shakies. And I was
Oh
like, oh,
no.
I'm going down. Um, and I like definitely lost balance, and then like they all crashed. Um, and fortunately, like no one made a huge deal of it. And I think ultra fortunately, there also weren't a lot of guests in either Tiffany or Chanel or Coach. It was like one of these. Um, so we were able to clean it up. But then I think they put me back on that position later in the shift. And I was like, did I not just
Did
prove to
you?
everyone like that
What?
I'm a
Do I
little
need to do that
sleepy?
again?
Right.
I hate champagne service because it's just like the trays, like the glassware is never like perfect. Glassware isn't perfect. It's an art, and you can manufacture champagne flutes to be similar, but the bases aren't all the same. The trays aren't all the same, and when people take it off, then the weight changes, and are they taking the right one, are they putting too much force? Like, it is so much of a mind fuck that like I would get the shakes even if I, for no other reason than the fact that the anxiety of holding champagne. And you were holding two trays.
Um, as I'm telling the story, I'm like, was it just actually one? Um, See, I blacked out. I dissociated from the
Well,
negative
you fell
memory.
over, of course. That is crazy. Well, I'm glad that both of those shifts are over. And, you bring up a good point because, like, as you're talking about getting this bad news, like, when you work in hospitality, you're kind of fucking stuck. Like all of a sudden, I'm told that I have no money in my bank account. I don't know what's going on at home, and I have to move. And I don't know, like this job's not going to pay for the move. Like that's absolutely my like, and you're stuck in it, and there's nothing you can do to problem solve. It's not like you can be like check your work emails on this computer and then on your phone fix a situation. Like you're in it, you can't step off the floor because there's no humanity in this industry. So even if you do need to step off the floor, there's no doing it. So I am glad that both of these shifts have finished for you. I'm glad that your anxiety is controlled, and I'm glad you never have to go back to those days because, dear Lord, it is intense. So I want to. You brought up something in the questionnaire that I sent out about topics, and I want to unpack because you just said not humming at work.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
What is that supposed to mean?
Okay. When you are on a team of X amount of restaurant folk, bartenders, coat, coat check, the whole team, like point out the person who's not in performing arts, right? Like point out the one person who's like going to dental school and also like a cater waiter. Like there's so few, like every single person in any given night is in performing arts. We all have an audition that week. We all just saw that show because our friend was able to give us a comp ticket. Um, it bothers me so much when someone shows up and they've just like got that song stuck in their head, or they're working through, or they're like they have that audition on the back burner, and so they're just like working through it in such a performative way to like let everyone know that they have the song stuck in their head or that they are prepping for this audition. It's just so sort of irksome to me because it's like, girl, we know, like, you sound great humming. Please stop it. Like, you are, I don't know. It makes me crazy. And I
Yeah.
felt definitely validation in my last. I worked for this company called Little Gem, which was one of the good ones. It was just like a solid crew of people and solid leadership, and um, they just took care of us. But I remember there was one guy, and he would just be humming. It was like the same phrase over, like the same phrase over and over again because it was like in his head. And anytime, like the first hum of it of the shift, I could like scan and make eye contact with the other person who was just so equally like, don't start your humming. Would you like to let everyone know that you're a singer? We all know, baby girl. Please don't hum at work.
That is, you would not like working
Mm.
with me. I do full on shows, but to be fair, I'm not like it's in a place in catering. You're just meeting people too much. There's too much going on, new venues. When I sing at work, it's like when I'm like, okay, I'm here. This is it. That I like you do you. I'm gonna do Pagliacci over here while I sit at the bar. Or famously, when there's a lot of garnish, because I at the place I'm at, we have like a garden. So we have a big basil bush. We have a big bush of mint and rosemary and cilantro and pickled Fresno peppers. And so when I set up, I clearly have to sing Lily from Secret Garden. I have to sing Clusters of
Clusters
Crocus.
of crocus.
Like I literally come to my garden. Come to my garden. There you'll find me. Okay, I need to stop. But I literally go through just about everything. I go through my Beverly Sills songbook. I got kicked out of the kitchen one time for doing that. So yeah, you would not like working with me, but I do understand I know there's a bit of a difference about that. It's basically the same thing as like a verbal resume when you're sitting in a hallway with someone and they have to like, they're hugging their binder and they're letting you know that they worked with someone who worked with a director that's in the room and they came and saw them do this at da da da. And it's just like, okay, baby, but did you get the job? Because we're both here. We're both here polishing glassware. So please, and
Hmm.
if you have to hum to yourself because you got that, do it, and let us judge you. Let us judge you, but do what you need to do, and we'll judge. Right? Everyone just run
Right.
their own race. But that is absolutely hilarious. I totally thought you were going to talk about the shows you put on while setting up for
Oh no,
events.
I think it's just about like, right, it's what you just said, like, but did you get the job? No, like we're both polishing the silverware. So it's just sort of about, for me, the moment of just being like, yes, this is the thing that makes my heart pang, that brings me passionate joy. But right now, we're but right in this second, we're just checking codes. So like, stop. It hurts my ears, you know?
And it's annoying.
Mm-hmm.
And especially if it's an audition cut, like the one random baritone line, be like,
Mm-hmm.
got it, got it. That's hilarious. All right, so the next thing I want to talk about, which is kind of um, a bit of a confession, and I want to see if it rings true to you. You know, with a past guest, we talked about we both worked at Cook Shop together, or different times, but we worked at Cook Shop, and just the beautiful men that would come to that restaurant, like some of the most beautiful men we've ever seen, have been within those four walls. And I'm not saying that at one point in my life I was the thirstiest gay man in New York City, but I did believe in actively hydrating. I will put it that way. And sometimes my thirst would get the best of me, to where like when I worked at Sardi's and I would go up to this to the maitre d Nasif, who I fucking love, and I would say, he would know that I thought someone was attractive because I'm like, oh, I want to send a drink to table 42, or I want to buy table 14's dessert. And he goes, princess, princess. That's what he called me. If we bought everyone you find attractive a drink or dessert, there'd be no more Sardis. I'm like, okay, got it. I need to drink an actual glass of water. So has there ever been like a time in shift where thirst has gotten the best of you? And maybe, I'm not saying that I did this, but you know, maybe you see this really attractive person or couple and you're just like, I need to step off the floor and just make sure I have certain apps open that let them know I'm around.
Oh yeah, of course I played that game. Um, and then there's one specific instance where um, I opened said apps and sort of forgot about it. I was like, it's just not going to happen. But then I relocated to wherever I know. I think I was at Saks working an event, yes, and or maybe I don't know. I think it was like a Saks or a Bergdorf or something. And then I took off my catering clothes and put on just like a t-shirt and jeans and went to Julius. And I walked in, and the gentleman that I was thirsty for was standing there, and he was like, "Champagne guy?" And I was like, "Crazy suit guy?" And we were able to reconnect IRL with no apps or no planning. But yes, of course. I mean, that is allowed. Being thirsty at work is so allowed. Humming at work is
Oh
not
yeah.
allowed, right? Like,
That's hilarious. I think that's a good rule to live by. Thirst is allowed, humming is not, unless you're at my bar and I'm doing, again, like I said, Pagliacci or my Mario Alonso songbook. But please don't join in. It's my song. That's what I always tell my coworkers. I'm like, that's not a duet. Hey there, just checking in. I hope you're enjoying this episode so far. And if you are, why not leave us a 5-star review and a comment or two wherever you're listening to this from? And don't forget to follow us on social media at Tough Shift Podcast. That's TUFF Shift Podcast. Everywhere, literally everywhere. And just a reminder, you know, gratuity's not included, but tips are always welcome. And you can find our virtual tip jar at toughshiftpodcast.com. That's TUFF Shift podcast.com. All right, back to the show. Now, I was going to say like how you know, how you've gotten out of hospitality and, you know, before we started this, we kind of talked about that, and you still have like a toe in there. But what was like the final straw to kind of get you to shift your focus from hospitality to your survival job, your survival employment now? Like, what was it that was like, I can't sustainably do this and still love what I'm doing?
Yeah, no, I'm definitely 100% still steeped in hospitality, just coming from a place of being behind a computer most of the days. But I work for a travel and lifestyle concierge agency, but on a daily basis for almost 2 years, I am recommending restaurants globally based
Mm.
off of where my members are traveling. Their itineraries are all over the planet. And so, depending on which hotels they're staying at, or which cuisines they are partial to, or which allergies they have, or whether they have kids, or whether they hate cilantro or whatever, I'm looking at restaurants all over the globe, and definitely still very much a part of hospitality. But the straw that broke the camel's back, I mean, so clear cut. I will run into guys from said catering company, Little Gem, I'm like, "Are you still with them? Do you still do shifts?" And they're like, "Yeah, whatever happened? Did you quit or did you get fired?" And it's a fair question. I did quit. Um, but it would be it's fair that it exists in some people's memories that perhaps I got fired because we were doing a party in the Hamptons in July. It's so hot. The setup was on the ocean and at the client's home. A ton of work. I had driven from Fire Island to the Hamptons to take the gig. I was definitely prepping for some of my cabaret shows in P Town on Fire Island. I had a lot in my mind, and there was like, okay, here's what was supposed to be a clear, dedicated beverage and server station with its own set of gloves and own set of citrus knives and own set of cutting boards. And then inches away, a chef's table with all of the same things. Great, terrific idea, poorly executed. The clamshell crates that hold all of the cutting boards and knives and gloves and stuff, they had not been unpacked the way that the chef and co-owner of the company imagined that they should be to execute this idea of like separate server, separate chef station. So then we're like in service and it's busy, and I think I needed to cut some citrus. So I like grabbed gloves, citrus knife, cutting board from table where they were. And I think there was like nothing on the server table whatsoever. And I had seen the chef criticize a few other people for it, but the table just hadn't been set up yet. Like, again, it was a great idea. It just wasn't working, and we were in service. And so rather than stop service and like go find the tools we needed, I grabbed, and like I said, I had observed him sort of snap at a few other people, and then he like really hardcore snapped at me. And then I just sort of like, I have a temper. It's not my favorite characteristic about myself. But I didn't even say it with like much volume. Instead, it was just like a ton of tone. I think I said like, "What is wrong with you?"
Mhm.
Um, and he did not like that and screamed at me. And then I was like, "Oh, I don't have time for this. I'm actually taking my gloves off and I'm going to step away for a little bit." And then I got a call from the captain, and the owner of the company, Jordana, was on, and she was like, "Jack, I need you to go stand by the ocean. Eduardo does not want to see you in his sight for the for the rest of the evening." And I was like, "That's fine. You know what? This is probably going to be my last shift with this company." For it just, I had, um,
That's a tough shift. That right
a
there.
tough shift. It was a tough shift.
And what is wrong with Eduardo? I never like angry chefs. Just I don't have time for it because like, we are all on the same team, and it's always okay to take from our side of it. But if we ever need something from you, it's just the waiters need so much or so they can't do anything on their own. And it's like, well, you have my cutting board and knife, and like try getting something from a chef that is actually yours. Like I see it says bar on it. it says bar on it. That's my tape. That's my knife. That's my mandolin. Like, and they're just so fucking. It's like, what what purpose does that serve? Because we're the front facing thing, so like we have to be hospitable. We have to be friendly, but to an extent, like angry chefs don't help. And like you need to get your shit together because you work in hospitality too. I understand you're talented. Your food is amazing, but like I've worked for better chefs who are bigger assholes, and I like the fact that they're better. I'm like, I'm gonna give them a little slack. But like your talent and who you are as a person, like they're not mutually exclusive. Like, don't be a shitty person. And like, how much better would this food taste to me knowing that you weren't a complete piece of shit? like, like, right? Thank you.
Hmm.
Thank you. That's what it's all about. Now, I want to go back to you know what you're doing right now with this online concierge. Like, how do you find out which restaurant will help this person who hates cilantro, and how do you find out in Madrid like the restaurant that fit this person's allergies? Like, how do you get that much of a knowledge?
Yeah, I mean it's a ton of research. It's a research heavy role. I started with the title of lifestyle consultant, but I'm now their head of events and experiences. But I mean, it's all the publications that highlight and feature restaurants globally. So, it's Condé Nast Traveler or Goop or the Michelin Guide or um, I'm missing some, like, pardon me, Eater or the infatuation. It's just like sort of combing through recommendations, and it's for me personally playing a lot with Google Maps and then connecting with concierge of hotels and asking all the right questions to make sure that I am properly able to consult, that I'm in the know of the restaurants or the menu or the bar program. And so it's really just a lot of like asking questions and reading a lot of
Hmm.
menus, research and development. That's a perk of the job, getting to try terrific restaurants in any city that I'm at, I'm visiting. Um, so it's sort of like a combination of, lots of different tools that you cobble together until you feel like the toolbox is, thriving.
Yeah. Now, do you benefit? I mean, you just said that you can try all these restaurants, but do these restaurants like hook it up knowing that you like, do they know? And because I worked at places when a concierge came in, it was 100% comp, and they just like left full, like Thanksgiving dinner, like just red carpet, white glove service.
Yeah, that's happened a number of times, and when it does, it's always like so nice, and you feel so taken care of, and you obviously want to tip well or leave a nice Google review or whatever you can do to show your appreciation. Send an email the next day, um, go back, send a lot of business there, and then there's been other times where I've like gifted um, a maitre d or a general manager something from my company with like a swag bag. So it has like maybe some Apple AirTags in it, or it has some like face masks in it, or a candle, or some hats, or an umbrella, or whatever. And so you go in, you make the reservation, you're sending this restaurant so much business throughout the season. Um, and then occasionally a little bit of cash tip in the hand, and then like nothing is comped, like not a beverage, not a dessert, not an appetizer, and you're like, you could have sent some zucchini fritters, like
Something.
would it really have hurt? So it depends. It just depends.
Interesting, interesting. So I want to now get back to you, the artist, and where that came from. So, like, just for our listeners, like a quick rundown of how you got started in the arts.
um as a little kid, I did a something called the Canton Children's Chorus, which was a part of an opera company, a volunteer. And so there was a children's chorus and an adult opera company. And I started doing that when I was in fifth grade. And so we met every Saturday in a performing arts space in Canton, Ohio. Canton is south of Akron, which is south of Cleveland. Um, and so I got really sort of steeped in choral music, and boy soprano voice hadn't changed yet. You could only stay in the chorus until you were in eighth grade, but it was just a bunch of music, like singer nerds. And the level of difficulty, we were performing music that I would later in public school sing like my senior year of high school, right? So it was like proper choral music, and I really loved it. But just across from where we rehearsed in the opera and choral division of this performing arts building was the theater. And so I knew someone who was auditioning for You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown. And I went over and I auditioned too, and I got it, which, I mean, people say like they got the bug. I mean, it was like bananas. I did
Yeah.
You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, which also had a children's company and an adult company, and then right into like it was an avalanche. It was like then it was The King and I, then it was A Christmas Carol, then it was Narnia. Then it was Les Mis, then it was Footloose and Rocky Horror Picture Show and Joseph and the Amazing Technicolor Dreamcoat. It's just like never stopped. So I did that. I did shows at this theater company from the time I was 12 until I was 18 and moving away to conservatory to go study musical theater. Um, so it all just was like a huge avalanche for me.
That's phenomenal. And like, I mean, you just rattled off a whole bunch of shows that you have done, and I am a bit jealous because I, you mentioned Joseph. You recently were in Urinetown on Fire Island, which I knew was like a huge hit, and I know how much just from senior posts I was so jealous to not experience it myself. But just like what a wonderful experience that was, and how it resonated. But like, I'm really annoyed that I did not get to hear you sing Younger Brother in Ragtime. I'm really annoyed that like, because you are such a Frederick, and anytime I have someone on the show who's a Frederick, I'm like, of course you're a Frederick. And like to hear you sing in Pirates, and like the humor, because it's a humorous role as well as being like really beautifully written. So like, are there what are dream roles that like that you've got to do that you're just like, that is one that I can retire now happy, if you had to?
Um, well, oh my gosh, Bobby Strong in Urinetown was, I mean, yes, it was just so, I was in between jobs, so I had so much time to dedicate to learning the score and just like really having it in my body. Um, but it was such a dream. I had so much fun doing that. And I did that with, the Fire Island Pines the Fire Island Pines Arts Project, or FIPPAP. And I did that right after, on the other side of the island, I had done Buyer and Seller uh, in at the Arts Project of Cherry Grove. But so with those same organizations, I'm always sort of like, I'm pals with some of them and we kick around ideas. But I would so love to play. Um, Wait, it's my dream role, and I don't know his name. Um, is it
You,
Gordo in A New Brain? Is that the role?
oh, you know, I don't know. I've only heard a few songs from it. I
Hold on, I'm
actually don't know
looking
that
it up.
show well.
I really want to sing that score. It's so beautiful to me. Um, oh, but here,
Is that
I
And
know
They're
the
Off?
answer. Yes, I think it's Gordo. I think I'm right. My mom says I'm right. She can hear me.
Hi, Mom.
Hi, mom. Um, no, the answer is more current. I saw maybe Happy Ending, and I knew very little about the show, and I didn't have like crazy high expectations, and I'm not really a person who like likes robots. Um, but the character of Gil Brantley, played by Des Duran, it like Craig Burns. Hi, I'm Jack Bartholet. You have to put me in this show. National tour, swing, cover, ninth cover. I don't care. It's so beautiful. And I had this moment where I was like, I'm actually not delusional. Like, Des Duran is a 35-year-old human making his Broadway debut. I'm a 36-year-old human. I could make my Broadway debut. I wasn't on America's Got Talent or The Voice, but like the role is an American songbook crooner,
Yeah.
and who advances the story through telling these American songbook-esque songs that the robot sort of sees himself in and through to like
Mm.
advance the plot. It is so beautiful. That score, the storytelling, the actors, the team, the creative team involved made such an impact on me. I I think it had been properly 10 years since like Hamilton, Bridges of Madison County, that a Broadway musical like was right here on my
Hmm.
heart and chest in such a way where like the music makes me cry. I think about the music. I am like it's anytime I open up Spotify, it's like right there because I'm just like sort of constantly going back to it. But yeah, that's the dream role. I want to play Gil Brantley in maybe Happy Ending right now, please.
I want to see that. You sold me on it. I would love to. I mean, I would love to obviously hear you sing anything, as I mentioned in the opening. How does somebody with such a clear musical theater focus and drive end up in the world of cabaret and concerts and getting to Carnegie Hall? Like, what was that shift, or is it like happening simultaneously? Like, what brought you to be like, all right, I love performing these roles, but I also like telling my own stories and crafting my own shows?
Well, first, I'll just add context that I was at Carnegie Hall with the New York City Gay Men's Chorus. So it was me and 300 other people supporting Alan Cummings' show. Alan Cummings sings sappy songs. So I was on the stage of Carnegie Hall and I did have people, and this is not a compliment. Um, my ex-husband used to say that in the New York City Gay Men's Chorus, he could always hear me, and I'm like, that's not good. Like, my job is to blend, and you're telling me that I'm not. And he was just like, no, your voice is just so like forward, and I could just like hear it. And I'm like, that's a bad thing. Um, anyway, how? Okay, so I sort of really credit a professor in college. The second semester of senior year, we had a cabaret course. So it's like as you're exiting a 4 year conservatory program, you know, you're so checked out, you're so ready to be done. But the second half of that year, we took a cabaret course, and it was designed that way because the instructor wanted everyone to be 21 years or older.
Hmm.
Um, and he's super smart. His name's Dan Stetzel. He's Yale educated, and he wanted the course to really sort of abandon musical theater in a way and really immerse in nightclub. So part of the curriculum involved going to this cabaret club. I think it was called like something 360. What was that called? It doesn't matter. But it was like a Chicago nightclub where he played. He's an excellent player. He has excellent taste in music. Um, and you were to participate in the culture, which meant a 2 drink minimum and getting up and doing a couple songs in front of your peers. So sometimes it was classmates that were also like checking off. And some my classmates sort of like hated it. They all felt like it was this like chore. Um, and I remember in the moment knowing that despite years 12 to 21 having done musical theater and it sort of serving as my North Star, I remember knowing, oh, I like this better. Oh, I
Hmm.
like this. I like being in a room where people are whispering and drinking and eating, and someone is going up and like bearing their soul. Like
Hmm.
tears in their eyes, or someone is making me laugh so hard that I'm going to pee my pants. And just the sort of like casual nature of it. And even now, like when I go see, you know, an artist who I deeply admire, like Justin Vivian Bond or Bridget Everett, like those are the last two Joe's Pub shows that I've seen in the last month. Joe's Pub is sort of like church to
Hmm.
me in New York City, but it doesn't bother me that the blender is going or that the bartender is like loudly shaking a cocktail. It doesn't bother me that, and it's like I don't know. There's something I'm just deeply passionate about it. I love
Yeah.
cabaret. I write about it. I see so much of it. I feel, really honored and lucky to to have performed in all the places, and there's so much more that I want to do. I was supposed to do the Adelaide Cabaret Festival in 2020, but then obviously COVID. Like there's so many cabaret nuggets that I still want to do, and I just think it will always sort of thrill me. Like I said, maybe Happy Ending really pleased me, but And this isn't like come to your caddy, but there's a number of shows that sometimes I see and I'm like, yeah, yeah, that was good. That was nice. Like, great job. Like, everyone's working so hard. Like, it's never a question about like the talent or skill. Like, that's obviously like you're on Broadway, like you're killing it. Um, but sometimes I'll see a string of shows on the Broadway stage, and then I'll go. One that comes to mind recently is my friend Zachary Klaus, who's also a cabaret performer. He and I went to go see this Taylor Mack show at Pangea in the East Village a couple months ago. And Taylor Mack, obviously, you know, known for St. Anne's Warehouse 24-hour fame that's been recorded and memorialized on HBO and is just so incredible. But Taylor was working on this little show and he had written like pirate songs. Um, and it was a love letter to Provincetown, and they were all like super queer and somewhat political. And I just remember like going and seeing it and being like, yep, it's all like cabaret in a nightlife space is always just going to thrill me and excite me and like hook me in a little bit more than theater. I think what's interesting there too is that sometimes it it's always dependent on headspace, right? Like, where are you at? Are you are you going to be like connected and listening to every song? Are you going to be thinking about the arc of the story? Are you going to like really appreciate the nuance that the band is delivering? Or like sometimes are you going to be, as we all are, distracted and thinking about your to-do list? Like, what do I need to get done at work tomorrow? Or what do I need to buy on Amazon? Or what do I need to, what's that email that I need to send? Whatever. And then suddenly there's like one song of which the lyrics are just like built for you in that
Yeah.
moment that you can like super just connect into. And I just think there's a magic there that happens in the cabaret space that doesn't really happen anywhere else. And I love it so much.
I agree 100%. And I feel for myself, I know that cabaret has been a lifesaver for me as an artist because I was up at 5 a.m., 5 days a week, waiting outside the old Telsey, the new Telsey, Pearl Studio, NOLA, bye NOLA, now you're this. Now, all these studios, I was doing it for 8 bars, 16 bars, 32 bars, a callback that led nowhere, and just doing what other people wanted me to sing. And the roles which I happily do, and I please hire me to do any musical, any play, I'll do it. Um, but I would get lost, and there are times I'm like, do I this is this not for me? Like, it just doesn't seem like it's sticking. And then I found my way into cabaret, and I'd wanted to do it for a long time. And then when the story came, that was like, this is your show. And then it was like, oh fuck, like I am there's something empowering, and not in this like, masturbatory way, like I'm a headliner, but like, fuck yeah, I'm a headliner. And like, sorry that these people at these casting agencies like don't see it in me, but selling out this room and selling out that room and telling my stories and having people come up to me afterwards and say something that has nothing to do with my show, but what my show did for them and the story that it triggered in them. It's magical, and it's like, this is why we create art. And I feel like even with this shitty, not it wasn't shitty, my attitude was shitty. With this audition, I almost skipped because I was in a shitty mood. I literally was like, you've headlined at Lincoln Center, you have taken the stage, so like, just go in there and deliver this monologue like it's your patter. And it's given me this, even when I'm feeling my worst, it's given me this power to be like, this is my stage. And
Mm-hmm.
I assume you can relate because I have seen you captivate a room. Again, and when the first time I heard you sing Happy, and it was at Susie Mosher's The Lineup, and it was like the basement of Birdland with like not the best sound system. You just fucking stole that room. And it was like, I
Mm.
remember, I don't think I was in the lineup with you that night, but I was there. And I remember, I don't know why I didn't text you. I texted Susie. I was like, oh my God, Jack. We just had this like little love fest about you because it like still like my breath, I was like, and it just, you washed us over with sound. And so yeah, I guess that's not a question. I just want to tell you that's what you do to people. And with that being said, I want people to know about the show you're working on now, and like, where was that
Mm.
inspiration, and how can people come see it?
Um, okay, I'm gonna give like a slightly annoying like Jamie Lloyd, how did you conceive sunset answer. The portmanteau that is cabaret plus rage, like brunch. Some people don't know what a portmanteau is. Um, it came to me. I was at an artist residency in 2018. Sorry, I keep clearing my throat.
No, you're
One
great.
sip of a. I was at this artist residency and I was doing a ton of writing, a ton of listening, a ton of crafting. I was sort of in this like drifting off to sleep place. And I was like, what is my show about though? Like, what is it? And I was like, it's cabaret. And so like full disclosure, my last name, all of my family pronounces it with a hard T, Bartholet. But when I went to school, the chair of the musical theater department, I introduced myself one time as Jack Bartholet, and he was like, "It's Bartholet," or I think he always said like Bartolet. Um, and I corrected him. I was like, "No, it's Jack Bartholet," and he was like, "No, it's not." And then hence that the stage name was born. The like,
That's your
oh, you're
Sasha
right.
Fierce.
100%. And it was just like, oh, that is my name now. And that took care of any like stage name like dilemma. And it sort of allowed me to like step into this place. So like Bartholay, like cabaret. But why am I saying that? Cabaret. It came to me because I was trying to synthesize what the show was about. And I I've done several shows since that artist residency in 2018. But I this show is called Cabaret because I'm finally stepping into this desire to focus on the many facets of rage that we humans experience and how that exists in a cabaret space. So cabaret is obviously full of artifice, full of sequins and eyeliner and cheesy, schmaltzy props and little knowing winks and nods to the audience and patter that's sometimes predictable. And at the end of the day, it's all quite self-centered, right? Like you're just taking center stage and like all eyes on me, everybody. I'm going to sing with you for 60 minutes and tell you all my jokes and my stories and blah, blah, blah. But I was really interested in thinking about the different facets of rage. So a cabaret explores political rage, queer rage, road rage, rage that comes from heartbreak, rage that comes from workplace minutia, aka dumb people, um, and just sort of the the collective rage that we occasionally all tap into. And so cabaret is about turning that fury into fabulosity. And once I started like really harnessing this idea, it became a blueprint that I was like, oh wait, hold on, this is what I've always been looking for. I can sing anything now. Like
Yeah.
the set list from February is more or less what this set list is going to be in 2 weeks from tonight. Um, I've added a few new songs. I've swapped some things in and out, but it's just a blueprint to explore anger. But then, like, I don't want to be angry on stage, and I don't want my audience to be angry. So it's about turning that anger into like we're here, we're celebrating. There's a four-piece band. I'm in glitter. I'm in a pussy bow. Like, how could anyone be mad? We're exploring
Yeah.
rage, but it's like, it's about turning that rage into a party.
That's wonderful. And so it's going to be Thursday, July 24th, which is the week that this show's coming out. What is next week? Yeah. Is it next week?
It's in 2 weeks.
Oh, even more time. This is perfect. Even more time
Yeah.
to get the word out. So yeah, you go to where?
Go to jackbartholet.com or go to cabarage.com or go to or Google the Arts Project of Cherry Grove. You can find me on Instagram at jack.bartholet, and the link is in my bio. So there's all sorts of ways you can find tickets.
And just remember, if you're hearing Bartholet, just remember to put that T on. He took it off, but I need you to put it back on. Otherwise, that .com ain't gonna go nowhere. Like, this site's
Exactly.
available.
Right,
This site
exactly.
is available all day. Oh my God, thank you so much. I have so many things that I still want to talk with you about. But it's
Same.
just we're at that point, and like you mentioned your your outfits that you wear, which is definitely a point I
Mhm.
want to talk about because your fashion has always been just on point. And it's hilarious because like my fiance has a very similar thing. Like when we go out, it is very much like the pussy bows, the this, the that, the androgyny of it all. And you know, I do that somewhat, but it just I'm built like a linebacker, so it just doesn't read on me like it reads on both of you with the beautiful faces that you both have. But we'll talk about that sometime because I you're gonna come back. I am doing this show. I'm setting up like group shows now. I want to talk to so much more about you, but I know that we have to get going, and it's really
I would,
sad.
I would, I would love to come back sometime to talk about all of those things. And also, I lived in Borum Hill, Brooklyn for 10 years, and I saw Ethan Hawke like every day. So to be in your waiting room and hear your intro, like it got to the point where I was like, is Ethan Hawke performing a one-man show for me in the streets of Borum Hill? It was like the most performative answering of the telephone to be like, hello. To watch him order a coffee, to watch him walk his dog, to watch him come to a red light on the sidewalk, it was like, oh my God, Ethan, please leave me alone. Like it felt like at a certain point, like it was like bothersome to share
Thank
space with
you.
him.
Thank you for validating that. And there's, I'm not sure if you've seen on Instagram, I think his name is like Tyler Ellis or something. He's like this musical theater kid. He's on the tour of Shucked now, but he does these like moments in plays like right before the curtain drops. And it's like this overacting, like straight guy acting and da da da. And that's literally what Ethan Hawke it does. So
Oh,
thank you for validating that. And it's just like, yes, yes. And so to make fun of that, that just triggered that in me. So thank you. But
thank you.
before I let you go, um, as I brought up in the beginning, we all know how fast bad news travels and how slow good news goes, if at all. So I like to always go out of my way to let people know the good news they need to know. So if I'm in a restaurant and I had a great time, I'm going to find the manager and say something great. If I'm going to tell my manager, this person helped me make my shift easier, I want to find people. I want to tell artists how wonderful they are. I want to tell all the good news that I can. So, who is someone in your life, whether it be on a catering shift, at a restaurant, on stage, backstage, in your personal life, your business life, whatever, who has made a tough shift more bearable for you? And you want to give them a little shout out right now.
I I don't know if I'm properly answering the question
Sure.
because it wasn't exact. I think I am. I want to shout out my insanely talented music director and friend, Trevor Pierce.
Nice.
Today, I'm going offline and taking this PTO that I mentioned, and that always involves a little bit of a scramble, right? To make sure that like all your loose ends are like buttoned up. And right now at work, we're also training like 3 new hires, and there's interns, and I was just on Zooms back and forth all day. And at the end of the day, I saw my music director send information to the band, the drummer, the bassist, the guitarist, doing all the work that I needed. It was the email that I needed to send, but he did it for me. And it was all about here's how you get from New York City on the LIRR to the ferry to Fire Island. Here's the schedule. And he just like buttoned everything up on top of making all these incredible arrangements and playing a beautiful show. And somehow he also has abs, and it's just like really, really annoying.
Opens
But
Instagram. That
yeah,
doesn't hurt.
exactly.
That
So
that doesn't
yeah,
suck to have a hot musical director. Well,
exactly.
Travis,
So it's a shout out to Trevor. Yeah.
Trevor, that is exactly, you answered the question exactly how it was meant to be answered. So, Trevor, for having the abs you have, I mean, for doing the things that you do, and making people's tough shifts a little more bearable. Thank you. The world clearly needs more people like you. So keep doing what you're doing. This has been another episode of Tough Shift. And just remember, tough shifts build character, and character is what brings your story to life. Take care. Tough Shift was created and hosted by Sean Patrick Murtagh. It was recorded on Riverside and distributed with Buzzsprout. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star review and maybe a comment or two. And remember, tough shifts build character, And character is what brings your story to life.